Good evening. So we are good to go, and people will join shortly. And this is stream live on YouTube, your channel Children Happy Post, and this is being recorded also. So good evening, everyone. Today on this Parental Alienation Awareness Day, we are having a very important session by a child psychiatrist, Dr. Kasturi, and the session being called shared by Dr. Satya. Both are child psychiatrists. I'm going to have a tell about the brief introduction. Before that, let me tell about the today's issue about the anti-alienation. Hope my slide is visible. So today is International Parental Awareness Day. It's all about creating awareness, where we still believe that people out of ignorance they're doing this. Sometimes people after knowing also they'll be able to do the same thing. But still, we believe by creating multiple awareness, the a custodian parent who's in charge of the children should de-alienate the child. And we're looking for a long-term law reformation. And in continuation of this, we are having this program. Let me go and introduce the speaker today for this today's session. Sure. First, let me introduce this chat for the session today. Ma'am, hope my slide is visible, right? Is slide
Yes.
visible? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Satya Raj, who is a child psychiatrist, and who's also having a fellowship in Royal Australian and the New Zealand College of Psychiatrists. She is a professor of psychiatry and the child psychiatry unit at CMC Vellore. Her interests are infant mental health, attachment to children, child sexual abuse, trauma, school mental health, and the adolescent mental health. And she holds the following current positions. She's the life member of IPS. She's, as I told you, fellow of the Royal Australian and the New Zealand College of Psychiatrists, chairperson, the fetal and the infant mental health subspecialty of the IPS. She is a life fellow and the executive council member of Indian Association of Child Adolescent Mental Health. She's also a member of World Association of Infant Mental Health, and she's got multiple awards. Out of that, you can say that she's the best outgoing student in MBBS time, best outgoing student doing MD psychiatry. She has won the Golden Award in DNB at all India level. She's having the Michael Hong Travel Fellowship. She's a recipient of Travel Fellowship with the World Association of Infant Mental Health at the Dublin. And it's a privilege to have you, ma'am. Thank you for coming and participation in this important event. Your presence makes a great impact, and is to tell that people are there to working for this kind of child abuse issue like parental alienation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let me introduce few words about today's speaker, Dr. Kasturi. Just a minute. Dr. Kasturi, she's alumni of NIMANS. She has done a DM after doing a MD psychiatry, and she has done a DM in child and adolescent psychiatry. She has done a postdoc fellowship in neuropsychiatry. Currently, she is holding position of assistant professor in the Department of Child Psychiatry Unit, in the Department of Psychiatry at St. John's College in Bangalore. She has got various research publications and various honors, awards. Out of that, she has got Dr. M.V. Govindasamy Memorial Award for the best outgoing student during her DM period. And she has got the fellow of Helmut Remschib, Remschib Research Seminar Program by ISCAPAP. She's been awarded the fellowship of Dr. Ramachandra and Murthy Foundation for Mental Health and the Neurological Sciences for participating in the 10th leadership and the professional skills course for early career psychiatrist. Her area of interest are autism spectrum disorders, neuromodulation, and neurodevelopment. So, pleasure and honor to have such a distinguished speaker among with us. And I want to extend my thanks to you, ma'am, for having accepted this request today. We also have with us Mr. Arun, who's the co-founder of the Narumbi Foundation, who's working on very strong, very keen working on the implementing shared parenting practices. Because let us have law on side. They insisting on how should be a balanced shared parenting should be. And today he's going to release the foundation's report on the modest, his impact on the shared parenting. And such a distinguished speaker, chair, and one of the co-founders here. And today marks the, again, I'm insisting, today marks the Parental Alienation Awareness Day. And audience, we're having public here, we're having fathers here, we have lawyers here, we have mothers here. Take home message is parental alienation should be abolished at any cost. And we have speakers here going to tell why it should be eliminated. And I'm going to pass the session to the chair. Please take over, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Very good evening to all who've sort of joined this session. It's my pleasure to be a part of this session this evening. And just to reiterate the words with Dr. Natesh had said, as all of us know, parent alienation, it was a concept given by Dr. Richard Gardner. And how does this come about? This came about because basically there were a lot of child custody disputes, and there was one alienated parent and an alienating parent, and there was a lot of denigration, criticism, attacking and reputation, defaming them. And all this was not only happening between the adults, but it was having a significant effect on the children, right? So how children are important in our society. So if you take India, right, 40% of our population constitutes with children and adolescents. So we're talking about a huge number here. And very sadly, this is parental alienation is no more a Western concept. We have multiple sort of cases of children presenting to us with such difficulties, right? So the parental alienation can be as simple as a mild alienation with actually accepting some visitations, but then becoming critical in a few, to a very severe parent alienation syndrome where they can be very hostile towards the alienating parent, and it can be like going on even into violence. So this is the amount of importance, and we know that any such thing is like a significant trauma to the child. So when there is trauma early on, it's like an adverse childhood experience for the child, and it affects the development of the child. It affects the social and emotional well-being, right? So I can't add to say that it is really an important issue, and we all need to be focusing on this and being proactive and advocating for the well-being of these children and someone to have a voice for them. I think that is why we are gathered here this evening. And without taking a lot of time, it's really nice that Dr. Kasturi would be presenting to you, and we would be having a very active discussion as well. And I'm more than happy we'll be able to discuss a few questions at the end of the session. So thank you so much for inviting me, and over to you, Dr. Kasturi.
Thank you, ma'am. Are my slides visible?
Ma'am, it to be visible, ma'am.
They are very visible, sorry?
No, ma'am, it is not visible.
It is not
Not yet.
visible yet. Oh, okay. One second.
You need to share the whole screen. Maybe you're sharing the window. That could be the reason.
Oh, okay. Just a minute. I will.
Subramaniam sir, good evening, sir. Nice to see you here.
Thank you.
Just a minute, Dr. Natesh.
No
I'm
problem.
just.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Take your time.
Is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
You shared this,
okay.
have you shared this whole
Yeah,
screen?
the whole screen actually.
Just come out and please come out of the slide showing mode. Just show the main thing.
Yeah, one sec. Is it now visible?
Sometimes when you share the whole screen, a slideshow mode, it won't be visible.
Huh. No, I'm not in the slideshow mode right now, sir.
No, I
Uh,
think slideshow mode is being presented. So I'm saying that you completely come out of the screen sharing, close
okay.
PPT, close PPT, then open that, then you share the screen. After sharing the screen, then you go for a slide sharing mode.
For
Like that.
opening the PPT, right. Okay, 1 second.
No problem, take it. So we have many fathers here, we have parents here, we have Hi Shiv, Hi Prashant, the part of the Parental Alienation support group. We have a very mixed audience here.
Really nice. So I'll possibly sort of add a few points till Dr. Kasturi is able to open her slides.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
basically, if you're going to try to look into the experience of the child, so it can have significant effect, as I said, on the social and emotional development of the child. It can have very short-term consequences like having fearfulness, guilt, shame, and also a hidden grief of the parent who is being rejected. There can be a lot of false autonomy, there can be parentification, and in a long term, there can be multiple other psychodynamic issues affecting. There can be a problem with their internal working models. Object relations are distorted. And of course, there is a significant impact on the attachment and the security of the attachment as well. So, these are going to be the multiple areas which Dr. Kasturi is going to be explaining. So, possibly we'll wait for her to share the screen. And once we're able to discuss about the consequences and see how we can proactively prevent this. So, what would help? Would psychoeducation help? Will advocacy for these children help? We'll see how we can make it a more child-friendly society and being mindful of the child as an individual and just not two adults separating. So let's try to be a little more mindful of that and go into the lecture.
Thank you, Satya ma'am. Is my slide visible now? Dr. Natesh?
Not it, ma'am.
Not yet.
No,
Is it,
not yet.
I don't know what is the issue.
No issues. I will present a slide. Just wait a minute.
Yeah, that will be okay, I guess.
No issue.
Because I will stop the share here.
No, actually, you're not sharing anything. That is the reason. Something is happening. One
Uh-huh.
last try you do. See what I'm saying.
Hmm.
You choose the entire screen,
Yes.
or now you choose a window. Okay, the entire screen
Yeah,
will move for you. Choose a
right.
window. In
Huh.
the window, there will be your PPT will be opened. Just choose that.
Right.
Choose window, choose PPT.
Yeah, I have done that. I've chosen the window and the PPT. Now, is it visible or not?
No, nothing.
Uh,
No issues. So I'll share my.
there's some problem. Yes, sir.
No issues. No issues.
Yeah, sorry.
Visible
Not
now?
shown. Not shown. Yes, Natesh. Visible.
Visible, right?
Visible.
Yeah. You need to go to the slideshow mode.
Yeah. Let me switch on my thing and put it on the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You,
Success.
yes, you could put it on the slide mode, sir. Slide sharing mode. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So sorry for the delay, but I think we'll we'll begin the presentation. And I think after a great introduction by Professor Satya, my topic for today is very, very relevant. Understanding the child's inner world in high conflict family environment, a psychodynamic perspective on parental alienation. I would like to give a disclaimer that I am not a legal expert. I am a practicing child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I am speaking of my reading of literature in this area and from experience of working with families, with children and families who have been a part of child custody disputes, who have been referred by Karnataka High Court during my training period. So I will be speaking from the experience of working with some such families and as my experience of being a child psychiatrist. Next slide. So this is the outline of my presentation, why parental alienation syndrome is important to understand and what is its impact on the child. What are the psychological processes in a child who is alienated or who is undergoing this parental alienation process? What are the long-term consequences of this phenomenon, and what all separating or divorcing parents should know? How can we as a group prevent and treat parental alienation, and what are the role of other support systems to the child and the parents? Next, please. So, as we know, the main role that parents play in child rearing is obviously providing food, water, shelter, education, basic opportunities, which are the basic things that parents need to provide. But above all, parents protect children from harm, and that is not only physical but also psychological and emotional harm. They act as a buffer against adversity, and they act as a blueprint for the rest of their life. And parents are first teachers, and both parents, both mother and father, have a role to play, and they have to function as a team to foster their child's well-being. Next, please. However, we know, looking at the divorce statistics in India, about 1 in 100 marriages end in divorce. There is an rising trend in India, which is seen in the past decade. And the trend is exponentially increasing in metropolitan cities like Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai. And one thing we know is that the cause of divorce is shifting from fault-based to mutual consent divorce. And more than half of these divorcing couples have children. They are parents. So this issue becomes very, very important because child custody is going to be a dispute in almost more than half of divorcing couples. And generally, the norm in India is child custody to one parent, usually the mother, with visitation rights to the other parent. And children tend to experience high conflict family environment for protracted periods, even before it comes to the point of legal separation. So children are a part and parcel. They are part of this process much, much, much before the actual divorce takes place. Next, please. So, how does parental separation, before I come to alienation, how that affects children? We have a lot of data. There are a lot of mental health problems that happen, which are common in children who have parents who are separating during the conflict and even later on in their adult life. They have more difficulties in social areas like adjusting with peers, enjoying the peers' company, being part of peer groups, academic achievements. A lot of areas of the child's life tend to get affected. And the severity of the parental discord is the central factor in maladjustment. While we know that parental separation has an adverse impact on children, it is also reassuring to know that sometimes that when separating families, when they maintain effective roles in nurturance and mutual support and family rituals, there is less maladjustment that is seen in children. And if both parents are equally involved in child rearing post separation or post divorce, there is better adjustment seen in children of parents who have undergone divorce. Next, please. So, divorce is often seen as a traumatic experience. When we speak of something which is traumatic, one thinks of disasters or war situations or accidents or epidemics and things like that. And some of the things that when we speak of traumatic experiences is that they are beyond one's control. It is not something that happens in day-to-day process. It is something which is very unusual and atypical. And and there is a lot of change and disruption of the daily routines. Predictability goes off. And the person becomes changed as a result of experiencing that trauma, where they think about the world differently, they process their emotions differently, their worldview changes. And this is something that can happen, that does not need to happen, but that can happen when children experience parental separation. And often there can be ongoing trauma because of protracted processes and legal processes and legal protracted high conflict environments that the children get exposed to. Next, please. So, like Dr. Satyaraj mentioned, one thing that we know about child development and child mental health is that if there are around 10 things which account for something called adverse childhood experiences. So they can be abuse experiences, they can be neglect experiences, or household dysfunction. So there are multiple things, and one, as you can see, one of those adverse childhood experiences is divorce. But not only this, children can get exposed to multiple other adverse childhood experiences. There can be emotional abuse, there can be emotional neglect, there can be mental health issues in the parents, there can be domestic violence, substance abuse in the parents. So if children are often children who are part of separating families, they can be exposed, they are definitely exposed to one adverse childhood experience, but often more than one. And we know that as the number of ACEs or adverse childhood experiences increase, that adds on to the burden or adds on to the higher risk of mental and physical health problems in later adult life of the child. Next, please. So now coming to the main topic of parental alienation syndrome, I'm sure that most of us in the audience already know about parental alienation syndrome, which is why we are here. But just to briefly catch up for the sake of people who may be new to this concept, there the child shows a persistent one thing is campaign of denigration. So say there is a parents who are separating, and there is a child who is there is a child, there is an alienating parent, and there is a targeted parent. So I will speak about what are the dynamics that happen between both the children. But often what we see is that there is a campaign of denigration where the alienated child, and this is a campaign of denigration towards the alienated or the targeted parent. So the child will show a persistent, intense criticism or rejection of the parent, saying statements like, he's a terrible person, I hate him. If you ask the child what is the basis on which the child says these things, the explanations can be very frivolous or not understandable. Like, I don't want to see my mother or father because she made me eat vegetables once. Or the third thing is about lack of ambivalence. So we know that all children have ambivalent feelings towards their parent. So there can be love, there can be anger. But when it comes to the alienated parent, the targeted parent, there is only anger. My father is completely bad, or he's a devil. And my mother is an angel, or I am using this because often we can see that it is the mother can be the alienating parent, and the father may be the alienated parent, but it can happen vice versa too. So for the sake of simplicity in the presentation, I am going to be saying it this way. But it can happen the other way around too. But when it comes to parental alienation, children will have no ambivalence towards the alienated parent. There will be a lot of borrowed scenarios. So the child will use a lot of language and stories that sound like they came from the alienating parent. Things like, my father is manipulative, my father is abusive. When you ask the child what he means by abusive or manipulating, the child would often not know, but he would have heard his alienating parent use these phrases very often. The other thing is something called independent thinker phenomenon. So children will often come to you and tell you that, no, this is not something that my mother told me to say. This is something that I think. This is something that I genuinely believe or think in. There will be reflexive support to the alienating parent. So if there is any kind of disagreement, the child will automatically take the side of the alienating parent without even understanding what the disagreement is about. and there'll be no guilt or no remorse towards rejecting the targeted parent. And this animosity towards the targeted parent will also spread towards the targeted parents and the grandparents and other family members of the targeted parent. Next, please. So, how do parent-child relationships figure out in parental alienation? So one thing we all need to understand is that alienation starts much before separation happens, uh, but often around the time of separation. Their parents often go through a very difficult marriage. The separation is not in the best terms. There is a lot of unresolved hatred, hurt, bitterness from the divorce. And this dysfunctional dyadic relationship between the mother and the father now starts becoming very child focused. There may be a lot of unresolved grief and anger towards the ex-spouse that either parent may have related to the circumstances of the divorce. Maybe there was an involvement of in-laws, maybe the process of divorce was started, but the other the other spouse did not try to preserve the relationship or make any amends. They would have gone through. There can be other aspects about the divorce settlement, like losing the marital home, or any other valued objects. And parents are often unable to express their rage and anger towards each other or their grief towards the loss of that marital relationship. So children become party to the dispute. And then a parent, often the alienating parent, may try to teach the other parent a lesson by hurting the children. So this is what happens. As we can see here, there is the alienating parent on one side and the targeted or the alienated parent on the other. The child gets disconnected from the targeted parent. And when it comes to the alienating parent, an important dynamic that happens is something called enmeshment. So the child and the alienating mother parent, like for example here, if it is the mother, there'll be no clear boundaries between the child and the mother. So if the mother is feeling upset, the child feels upset. The mother feels happy, the child feels happy. There can be a lot of emotional over involvement where there is a lot of sharing of personal experience by the mother to the child. And the child will lose his or her individuality in the process, and their decisions are heavily influenced by what my mother wants or what my alienating parent wants. The child may feel very guilty to say no. Sometimes if the mother is upset or the mother is sad, the child may take on adult roles. Satya ma'am spoke about parentification. So they may take on adult roles to soothe or provide emotional support to the parent, which is clearly not in keeping with the best interest of the child. So if all of this can be prevented, if there is an open expression of grief regarding the losses of the marriage between the separating couple, so there is no need to enmesh the child or involve the child in between the parental relationship. Next, please. So one of the things that this topic is specifically focused on is a psychodynamic perspective and what happens in the child's inner mind. So I will try to simplify these concepts to the extent possible. So when we speak of psychodynamic perspectives, it basically comes down to our unconscious thoughts and emotions, and how our previous experiences in childhood affect our future ones, and whether there are patterns that keep repeating themselves over and over again. So all of us experience psychological conflicts and between what we desire and what the reality is, and there are defense mechanisms to protect ourselves from conflict. There are different kinds of defense mechanisms, but in the context of parental alienation, one of the psychological conflict could be, I love being with dad, but I also don't want to upset my mother. So there can be a defense mechanism of something called splitting, where the child will idealize the alienating parent or the mother and completely devalue the father, saying the father is a devil or the father is a monster, and mom is my best friend. So these are mechanisms, but if this kind of mechanisms happen in the uh, long term, then this is something that can this can be very, very harmful to the mental health of the child. So some defense mechanisms, if they are maladaptive and they keep happening over and over again, they can have a adverse impact on the child's mental health. Next, please. So the next concept that I would want to speak about is attachment. So attachment, when we speak, it is the emotional connect that makes a child seek closeness to a caregivers, especially in times of stress. So all of us as humans are born with an innate system, it's called an attachment behavioral system that motivates us to seek proximity or proximity to our, say, mother or any other significant figure in our life in times of need. So the goal of this system is attainment of protection and security, right? And this system is activated whenever there is any threat. So, for example, as a young child, that system can get activated when the infant or the baby is hungry and the baby cries, and then the baby is soothed by the mother. Say once the child becomes a toddler, the toddler falls and gets hurt. They run to their mother or father. The child cries and seek comforts. The parent holds the child, calms down the child. So this behavior is basically an attachment behavior that you can see. So in this process, what happens is that the caregiver or the person who is an attachment figure to the child becomes like a secure base, like a secure person to whom I can go in times of distress and need. Uh, Initially, when we spoke of attachment in children, it would always be child and mother. But as we have had more and more research, we have come to know that there can be multiple attachment figures in a child's life: father, grandparents, significant other people. So there can be more than one attachment figures that can be there. And like I said, in infancy or in young toddlership, it is about physical needs and actual presence of a caregiver like a mother or a father. But as the child grows up, they seek proximity to their caregiver or the significant other in times of even emotional distress. So if I'm feeling low, I will reach out to my mother. If I'm feeling sad or angry or upset, I will reach out to my a mother or father, or when I grow up, to my peer or to my partner or to my sibling, whoever is an attachment figure in my life. One more thing to importantly remember is that when the child is young, there is actual physical proximity. So they will actually reach out to a parent. But as the child grows up, what happens is, rather than the actual physical proximity, there is also symbolic representation. So if I fall and if I'm upset, mama says, you should do this. Or when I'm facing something, mom says it's okay, you'll get better, it'll be fine. So these kind of symbolic representations and scripts start developing in a child who has secure attachment. So the child feels safe and starts trusting the caregiver, and therefore over a period of time starts trusting the whole world. So how is a trustworthy caregiver? A trustworthy caregiver um, who will empower, or who will create a secure attachment in the child, is one who is available, who is responsive and supportive to the child in times of need. So sometimes, however, caregivers can become unavailable or inconsistent for various reasons, wherein there can be insecure attachment patterns and systems that can develop, where either the child may feel that there is no they can deactivate the attachment system, where they feel that the caregiver is not available, so I am only responsible to soothe myself. Or there can be hyperactive attachment, where especially when the caregivers are inconsistently available, where the child may feel like there is a constant need to have the caregiver's proximity, and they may find self-regulation very, very hard. Next, please. So one thing that Dr. Satya also mentioned is that, so what happens is, these actual interactions with my attachment figure, say when I say attachment figure, it is the mother or the father or anyone who is a very important figure in one's life. So actual interactions with these attachment figures get stored in our memory in form of mental representations of these attachment responses. And they form a blueprint for further relationships and helps us understand what to expect of others. So what experiences I may have had with my significant others in my early life, they kind of become blueprints for what I will expect of any other relationship that I may have in the future. So if I am securely attached to my primary caregiver or my mother or father, my secure base script, because of the repeated experiences of my caregiver being available, responsive, and supportive, will be: others are trustworthy, I am worthy of love, and I am valuable, and I can soothe myself and I can manage my emotions as when I'm interacting with other, and help is available. So this is a secure based script that I will develop if I am having a secure attachment. One thing that we need to know is, as we grow up, we don't completely rely on our parents. Like if you see a toddler, when even if they are hurt or something, they will go crying to their mother. We don't do that as we grow up, right? So what happens is some of these soothing experiences which our primary caregivers would have given, they become internalized, and then they shift towards self-soothing strategies, and therefore we achieve more and more autonomy in soothing our emotions, and that helps in us becoming emotionally regulated, well-adjusted adults. One important thing to note is that no caregiver is perfect. So no caregiver is going to be ubiquitously present and available. But it is important to know that if there are more experiences of security and availability and responsibility compared to some experiences of caregiver not being available, there is still a higher chance of developing a secure attachment with my primary caregiver. Next, please. So how this parental alienation syndrome can disrupt attachment process? So like I said, a trustworthy caregiver is someone who's available, responsive, and supportive in times of need. So if there is an alienating parent, that parent is manipulating the child uh, and saying a lot of harsh things about the other alienated, targeted parent, that parent may also be very preoccupied with the marital conflict. Therefore, this parent may not be available to address the child's needs, or may not even be sensitive and responsive to the child's emotional needs. And the focus is shifting from the child's emotional needs to their own emotional needs. What happens to the targeted parent? Targeted parent is either physically unavailable because of interference by the alienating parents, or by limited legal visitation rights, or by loyalty conflict of the child, where the child doesn't want to see the parent. But even when the targeted parent may be available to the child, he or she may also be very preoccupied and defensive, defensive against the arguments or the allegations made by the alienating parent. So they may also find it very hard to actually be present and attuned to the child, to be emotionally available and responsive to the child. What happens as a result of this is both parents are unavailable, unresponsive to the child's emotional needs, and not supportive, and not able to realize the child's emotional environment and the child's distress that is happening in this alienation process. So children tend to have long-standing problems with future relationships. If you would remember what I said 2 slides back, what happens with early caregiving experiences is like a blueprint for the rest of their life. So rather than the secure based script which views the world as safe and self as worthy, children start to develop their own scripts as I am if I have future relationships, the significant other in the future relationship is not going to be present, is not going to be trustworthy, and I am not worthy of love. So this can actually impact and impair long-term relationships and long-term well-being and adjustment of a child who then grows up to be an adult. Next, please. So what are the other psychological processes which can happen in the child who is going through parental alienation? One important thing that I could think about is self-blame. So children, when we think of children, especially a little younger children, they will have a lot of self-blame, and they would say things like, if I had been a better child, my parents would still live together. And this can happen for various reasons. Children, especially young children, less than 7 years or so, they have something called egocentric thinking. So they tend to feel that everything happening around me must be somehow related to me. So if my parents are fighting, the child may think that maybe I did something wrong. If I behaved better, this wouldn't have happened. Young children also tend to have something called magical thinking, where they feel that my actions can cause big events. So if I wish, it will start raining, something like that. So similarly, children may feel something like, I wished that my parents would stop fighting, but now they're separating. So I am someone who has caused this. Children also tend to seek control in a confusing situation. So divorce, like I said, is very unpredictable for the child. So the child may say something like, if I have caused it, I need to fix it. So that can feel more in a sense of control than I have no control over what's happening. Children can also have a lot of loyalty conflicts, like I said, and the child may feel that if I choose one parent or upset one, I am causing the problem. There, there can be the child may also be exposed to conflict between the parents, where the parents may have had conflicts about the child or the child rearing practices. So they fight about me, so I am the reason why my parents are separating. Sometimes adults don't clearly explain the reason for separation, so children tend to fill the gap saying, I am the reason that my parents are separating. And like I spoke about this enmeshed dynamic between the alienating parent and the child. So if mom is sad, I must do something to fix it, because then because the mom and the child is not different, is not a separate figure, they get enmeshed with each other. Next, please. So the other things that can happen is, one thing is that true memory versus false memory. We know that children, there may be a lot of allegations that the alienating parent may make against the targeted parents, which may include sometimes very serious allegations of abuse as well. So sometimes children over a period of time, because of this chronic manipulation, may find it very hard to differentiate a true memory versus a false memory. They may even start losing trust in their own perception. They may also have grief at the loss of the targeted parent. Splitting is something that I mentioned at the start of the presentation, and the self becomes very distorted because of all the chronic processes which I mentioned. So there can be low self-esteem. There is self seen as someone who is unworthy of love, not confident to manage problems. So the child grows up developing a very distorted sense of self. Next, please. Another thing which Dr. Satya spoke about is that parentification. So the child may start taking adult roles, like I said, emotional support for the parents. Child is also party to a lot of adult conversations of separation between the parents, which are generally not some things that children should be part of, but they may attend a lot of hearings. They may witness their parents fighting in front of each other. So this also exposes the child to a lot of things that are not appropriate to be exposed at an age that they are in. And if the parents are emotionally, physically absent, the child may also assume a caregiving role for the siblings, if there are younger siblings. And one of the problems of parentification is that it does not allow the child to go through the developmental tasks or processes that he or she needs to go through to develop into a well-adjusted adult. Children are just forced to grow up overnight and take on a and get parentified in the process. Next, please. So there was a very interesting study that I could find on 38 adults. This researcher, Amy Baker, has done a study where she has interviewed 38 adults who reported experiencing alienation as a child. And I will share some impacts about what she has spoken about long-term impact of children who may have undergone alienation. So one thing that she says is that these parents somehow create a cult of parenthood, and they are like cult leaders, the alienating parents. Then they undermine the child's independent thinking skills. They cultivate an unhealthy dependency designed to satisfy the emotional needs of the adult rather than the developmental needs of the child. Next, please. One of the things is low self-esteem. So there is often internalization of the hatred of the targeted parents and feelings of rejection by the alienating parent. I will give an anecdote which is there in this article. So one adult says, when he was narrating his experience, he says that you have somebody like my mother who is constantly sitting there telling you that this person who is your dad and is a part of you is such a bad person and he's going to do all these terrible things. And it is like, if he's so bad, and even if I am also a part of him, does that sort of make me all like that too? So as a result of this, the children actually even conclude that not only my targeted parent is bad, but because I am also a part of him, I am also bad. And therefore, my mother not only hates my father, my mother also hates me, and mother also rejects me, not only the targeted parent. Uh, the other thing that they said is that, of course, one adult said is that, of course, I believe my mother, she was God. So when parental love is lacking, the child will naturally assume himself rather than the parent to be cause, like I said, resulting in an unrealistic self-image. Like we said, it is very much frightening to see that the parent whom the child is dependent on is at fault. So the child automatically says that it is not my mother who's at fault; it is me who is at fault. However, as these kids grew up and became adults, they had a lot of regret in later life, and they had grief at losing the targeted parent. The other thing is depression. Like I said, a lot of things predispose these children to depression in later life. There is chronic low self-esteem. Self is seen as always at fault. Lot of self-blame. Self as unworthy of love, and the world as an unloving and untrusting place, which are all things that makes one more likely to develop depression in the long run. Next, please. Again, drugs, alcohol abuse becomes more common because of coping and maladaptive coping with some of these problems. There can be a lack of trust. So, if my father can't love me, who else will? Also, children start having distrust and they start doubting their own perceptions of people. Because from a very young age, they have been told by the alienating parent that your father is bad or your alienated parent is bad, despite the fact that the child has had a lot of positive experiences with the father or the targeted parent. So they also start doubting their own perceptions of whether they can trust their own feelings and their own perceptions, and uh, and that is also something that makes them lose sense with their self and their self-awareness. The other thing is, one thing that has very sadly seen is that if these children go on to have to marry and they have their own children, they experience alienation from their own children. As we had spoken before, the internal working models develop, and then there is repetition of themes over and over again that happens. And unfortunately, one thing that this study also noted, that 2/3 of these adults had been divorced at least once. So high rates of divorce and difficulties in their own independent marital relationships are also seen as these children grow up. Next, please. The other problems that can happen as a long-term impact is the child can have problem with identity and not having a sense of belonging or roots, choosing not, and they may choose not to have children in their own future to avoid being rejected by them, and there can be anger and bitterness over the time that they have lost with the alienated or the targeted parent. Next, please. So what can we do? Any questions? Shall we pause here or shall we go ahead, Dr. Satya?
I think we can go ahead and possibly have questions at the end. That be okay, Dr. Nitish?
Yes, ma'am. Perfectly fine.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
So what can we do? That brings us to the most important part of the presentation. Next, please. So what can separating parents do? Like I said, why kids get enmeshed is because there is unresolved hurt from losses in the marriage, their own unresolved emotional mental health issues which have never been expressed. The alienating parent may have faced abandonment, the targeted parent may have grief and anger at the unfair or false allegations, and both have never had a chance to communicate what they have lost in that marital relationship. So unfortunately, the child becomes a pathway to express the same. Next. Next, please. So some things that we can do to prevent parental alienation. One thing is the alienating parent needs to understand that the child does not should not be involved in their interpersonal conflict, and there have to be strict boundaries between the parental subsystem and the child should not become part of the parental conflict. The targeted parent also should try to be the best. The targeted parent should also try to be the best parent they can, so that they don't reinforce the alienation falsehood that can be there. So, for example, And they can also be a good co-parent so as to not unnecessarily hurt, antagonize, or upset the parent. So they can be respectful, they can avoid lying or spreading rumors about, and this applies to both parents. One important thing to remember here is sometimes a targeted parent can also become the alienating parent. So it's not very black and white that this is an alienating parent and this is the alienated parent. This role reversal and change of roles can also happen. So both parents need to understand that they have to be respectful towards each other. They should not lie or spread rumors about the other parent. Respond to communication in a timely manner, set up financial issues in timely and equitable manner, and targeted parents should not engage in alienation as a countermeasure to this. Also, sometimes it's very important to know that sometimes children can be very, very hostile, and they can also try to test the limits of the targeted parent, saying a lot of hurtful things. It is very important at that point of time that the targeted parent does not respond to those hostilities by the child in a very in a dysregulated manner, or in the heat of the moment, so to say. And they are able to keep their calm. They are able to set reasonable boundaries, and they are able to communicate effectively with the child, and that will also model to the child that they can solve problems, they can resolve conflicts, they can resolve problems without making allegations, without yelling at each other, without coming up in the middle of a heated argument. The other important thing that will prevent parental alienation is that both parents need to negotiate a parenting plan that limits ambiguity and opportunities for the other parent to encroach upon the parenting time of the targeted parent. So, a good parenting plan will not only specify which days the non-custodial parent will visit, but also includes the precise start and end, where, what time it will start, what time it will end, and it should also have contingency plan. So, if this doesn't happen, what will be the next steps that the non-custodial parent will take? Next, please. And unfortunately, prevention is much better than treatment, because once parental alienation sets in, it becomes harder and harder to treat the family. The most important thing that has to happen is that education to the parent, to both the parents, that parent alienation does not help any parent win the argument. The only thing that it does is harm to the child. So the most important aspect of treatment is protect the alienated child from harm caused by the alienation. So while a lot of international guidelines speak about not including only the child as a focus of treatment, so sometimes the child may get referred by the legal body or the court just to for addressing the child's emotional well-being and emotional concerns, and that definitely has to be an aspect of treatment. But that should not be the only aspect of treatment, because then the child feels that can increase the guilt and self-blame that I am at the root cause of all of this. But definitely mental health interventions, therapeutic interventions that will reduce the child's distress, improve the child's psychological well-being, uh, challenge the distorted thinking, and teach critical thinking skills to children over a period of time after their emotional health and well-being is better, is something that is very important, that mental health professionals can do. And the most important aspect of treating parental alienation is basically improve the relationship between the alienated child and the rejected or the targeted parent. Next, please. So, if this is to be successful, the most important thing to know is that, so like I said, treatment, the most important aspect of treatment and parental alienation is reunification of the alienated child with the alienated or the targeting parent. But while we try and achieve that, it is very important to prepare both the alienating parent and the targeted parent in this process. For example, we need to prepare the alienating parent for an improvement in the quality of the relationship between the child and the targeted parent, and challenge their distorted thinking by individual therapy for the alienating parent also. Because like I said, alienation starts by a lot of unresolved hurt, unresolved grief and loss from the marital relationship. So individual therapy and individual mental health support to the alienating parent is important. At the same time, the targeted parent will also benefit from individual work to manage their own emotional distress, and coach them in using useful parenting strategies that will help re-establish the relationship with the child. So like I said, when the child is using a lot of hostile comments, it is very important that the targeted parent stays calm. The targeted parent, whatever the visitation time that there is, the targeted parent is completely present. They don't get into a defensive mode. They don't get into, they are definitely hurt and upset and angry because of all the allegations made against them. But they, rather than being defensive and preoccupied while being with the child, they need to be present, and present and attuned to the child whenever they do interact with the child. And again, conflict resolution to repair the parental relationship and repair the co-parenting and make a co-parenting plan and establish healthy boundaries and communication within the system. Yeah, next, please. So final targets of intervention have to be that the alienating parent must learn to empathize with what the children are feeling, and they should put their self-serving interest aside and reframe their beliefs. The targeted parent should learn how to rebuild the relationship with their children, and they should avoid using their alienating behavior as a response to the alienating behavior of the other parent. And children should learn that they can have an independent opinion about either parent, but their opinion should be founded on personal experience rather than what they are told by a angry or hurting a parent. Right. Next, please. So role of extended family members in India, like we said, unlike the Western system, a lot of other family members also get involved in divorce processes and child custody disputes. These can be in grandparents, uncle, aunt, so on and so forth. I think it is very important to emphasize their role also, because they should support the child's well-being, support in parenting tasks when the parents may be preoccupied with the legal processes and professional demands. They should provide emotional support to the parents and the child who are going through this very huge transition in their life. And one of the most important things that they should not do is avoid talking ill of the other parent to their grandchild, which will further alienation towards the alienated parent. There have to be clear boundaries, and they should not also involve in the conflicts between the parents. So these are some important things that extended family members can do. Next, please. Role of lawyers. In my experience working with some families referred by legal bodies, one of the things we know is that separating parents are often very heavily influenced by lawyers. There is a possibility of being misguided. Please pardon me if there is no intention of demeaning another profession, and I am sure that there a lot of lawyers do practice do have ethical practice, but it is also important that the lawyers understand child mental health, and they understand that manipulation of the child, sometimes children are manipulated to tell that the father has physically or sexually abused the child, which is often not true, and that this kind of a manipulation will amount to psychological abuse of the child. So lawyers also need to understand that. There is also a need to understand the best interest of the child. It is also important to understand that if there are protracted legal cases as a result of ongoing high parental conflict, it further worsens the alienation. There is more psychological harm to the child by prolonged witnessing of court scenarios. The child misses school, misses his playtime with his friends and children, and just attends is forced to attend these legal sessions, which should not be a part of a child's typical development. And this is something that a study from my colleague in NIMHANS, Dr. Priyanka, who was one of the speakers in previous sessions, has spoken about, is that the child, more the number of visits to the court, or the more the child's involvement in legal processes, the more psychological harm occurs to the child. Next, please. Role of courts and legal body. One thing that we all know that decisions regarding child custody are often taken in the best interest of the child. And one of the things that courts do consider is that, I mean, obviously, like I spoke about the custody norms in India, but it is very important to understand that there are the courts use. I think some courts have actually made a lot of progress in this area, but use of parent coordinators and family therapists to discuss a co-parenting plan from the beginning of the parental separation that may happen. One more important thing that courts can really do to help is that if to strictly enforce visitation rights. So sometimes the alienating parent may feel that if I forbade my child from meeting the other non-custodial parent. If I don't allow that, there will actually be no problem that will happen, and uh, I mean there will be no consequence of it. But one thing that the courts can very strictly and in a timely manner do is enforce consequences for parents that disregard these court directions. And if they are repeatedly offending, there can be a lot of consequences like telling the custodial parent to have a compensatory time in the next visitation. So if a custodial parent has missed this particular visitation and or has not allowed the child to interact at this point of time, the next thing that has to happen is maybe in the next point of time the visitation time can be increased, or say the custodial parent can pay for all the time that the non-custodial parent has spent, time and money that the non-custodial parent has spent in terms of coming for the hearing, or for in terms of coming and visiting the child, the arrangements that the non-custodial parent has made. And at the same time, it is also very or sometimes if both the parents are if it is if the situation is just beyond something, they can also maybe use some other higher level threats, like handing over the custody to some other responsible family member, or sometimes in international courts they have also threatened the parents to shift the custody to foster care, and that kind of brings the parents back to reality that they need to learn to behave themselves. There also, one of the most important thing has to be faster court action, because one thing we know about parental alienation, that the longer the time that the child is alienated from the alienated parent, the more and more severe it tends to become, and more difficult it tends to get to reverse this alienation process. And the state and legal body has to be a protector of child rights when the parents are clearly failing at protecting the child's rights and well-being. And one more important thing that the legal body can definitely keep in mind is that children alone, this is something that has happened in some of the international courts, is that children alone can't decide custody, because children's judgment in these kind of parental alienation scenarios are heavily influenced by like we said, the manipulation of the alienating parent. So it is very important to understand that while the child's preference is always discussed in court, it should not be the only thing that should matter when it comes to custody decision makings. And it is also some recommendations are in place to and more courts and are considering joint custody rather than complete custody with one custodial parent and visitation rights with the other. So that is also a welcome move. The other challenge I feel is what legal bodies may experience is when there may be allegations of serious abuse, like sexual abuse or physical abuse towards say the father. There's a female child and there is a father. There are allegations of abuse. How can we understand whether these allegations are real? And one thing we know about parental alienation is that if there is abuse, the alienation is, it's not alienation, it is estrangement. So that an estrangement is valid. And alienation only happens when there is no abuse. But when the alienating parent, sometimes there could be instances where the alienating parent may manipulate the child. It is also true that abuse may have happened. So sometimes I think legal bodies may also be in a dilemma as to understand whether the abuse has really happened so as to protect the child from the abusive parent, or whether this is a manipulation by the alienating parent. So in these circumstances, it is very important to take help from child mental health professionals to understand what the child is experiencing, so on and so forth. Next, please. role of mental health professionals like myself, when parents are preventive strategies that mental health professionals can do is when parents are separating, sessions with parents have to come up with a joint parenting plan. There have to be supportive sessions with the child as they undergo this major life event to help the child process the change, and educating parents on importance of respectful co-parenting and harms of things like parental alienation, because ultimately the child bears the brunt and no parent wins this battle at all. Uh, and therapeutically, when asked by legal body, or when it is initiated by a parent in terms of parent counseling, child support, or reunification efforts. And like I said, child cannot alone be the focus of therapy. It is the family as a focus of intervention. And it is very, very important, extremely important to address parental mental health concerns, because if the mental health concerns of the alienating parent and the targeted parent, like I mentioned, if they are not addressed, their own trauma and their own losses are not addressed, they will not be cooperative in this process to ensure the child's well-being. And one more important thing that mental health professionals must do is conduct research. In India, there is hardly any research on parental alienation. There are some case series from some tertiary care centers. There are some viewpoint articles, and some surveys by NGOs, but that's all. There is no other literature. So research is something that helps emphasize the need of. It strengthens the case for a serious concern like parental alienation, and it also definitely in the future in it has an impact on policy making and things which legal bodies will consider when they make important decisions regarding child custody. Next, please. So I would like to end my talk by saying that each child deserves a safe and secure childhood, and children can't be a battlefield on which parents wage their war. And like we know, it takes a child, it takes a village to raise a child. So safeguarding the child's well-being is a team effort. There are legal bodies and the court, lawyers, parents, extended family members, mental health professionals. It is everybody's responsibility to safeguard the child's well-being when parents have clearly failed to do so. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Kasturi, for the very clear presentation. I think I can see the group as well very active, because as you were presenting, I could see Dr. Subramanian, who's a real senior person in this field, I think contributing a lot and adding on to very important points. And I think that's very valuable, sir. Possibly you can share some of your thoughts as well in person. And now I'd like to open for any questions. So as we can see, this is like when a child is born is when a parent is born. Sir had suggested that actually working on the child's behavior doesn't help majorly, and basically looking into the parent and how you can help them being more attuned to the needs of the child is what is required. And again, understanding the so-called inner world of the child is very complex, and it is a very, very difficult task even for a trained child psychiatrist, because no child is like the other. Each child is very different. The way they express the internal distress is very different again. One child might be very dull, withdrawn. The other child may be very active, very hyperactive, restless. The other child can become very, very how should I say, defiant. There can be a lot of problems starting from an internalizing to an externalizing problem where the child can present in different ways. So basically, I would say the I does not see what the mind does not know. So being aware that it could present with a myriad of symptoms and being able to give early help and support. And of course, as very nicely highlighted, I think it's not the job of a child psychiatrist, it's not the one of a legal body. I think it's we, the people who have gathered here today on a Saturday night, to basically be advocates for these children, to feel that their voice is heard in the public, to sort of make others realize this is not something which is just imagine and coming out of textbooks. This is happening in reality and needs to be managed. I think that is where we need to be very proactive and advocating for these children. So the floor is open to questions. Would anybody like to ask questions or contribute? More than happy to take them.
Yeah, ma'am. So there is one session by Mr. Arun. After him, then we'll have the Q&A. So
Sure,
Not
sir.
a session per se. Thank you so much, doctors. I'm one of the targeted parents, and I could relate to each and every line of what you said. What I day to day see in my daughter. I was able to relate to each of these things. It is nicely put together. Thank you so much. But I would request you if you could later do another session for us. What should a targeted parent uh, do, or how should he take care of that precious few hours in a week that we get. There are multiple different types of visitation that the legal system is granting. Either it could be a supervised visitation in the court complex. I mean, which according to our foundation is one of the worst
Yeah.
settings where a
Yes.
child and a targeted parent can bond.
Yeah.
But even if there is a unsupervised setting, it is in majority of the cases it is once in 2 weeks, and it is a few hours, like 3 hours once a fortnight. So it really becomes very difficult to even establish a bond within that 3 hours, when the 24/7 into 2 weeks, there has been constant alienating behavior by the other parent. How should the targeted parent do? I We recently learned that we shouldn't even go and ask the child that did you miss me or not. That itself will give a lot of trauma to the child. But naturally that is the first response, or that comes out of us also. So if you could later help us, what should we precisely do, I mean, do's and don'ts, if there could be a if you could oversimplify it. I don't know if it is that simple, but if you could teach us. I mean, in general, what happens is the majority of situations, parenting itself is pretty new for us. We tend to evolve to learn parenting. And now, in this complex situation, how do we parent is another thing. So, with that in thing, because most of the points that you had said is, I don't know, the society is not yet ready to help and support us to, even though we know that we need, uh, uh, you know, um, a doctor's help or an expert's intervention. Um, to get it affected is not that very simple, because uh, the targeted parent doesn't get to choose or decide to take the child to the mental health professional to help. And as you said, the target, I mean, alienating parent also should come for the sessions to understand the repercussions of. They might also be inadvertently doing what they're doing without realizing what harm it causes to their child. So, um, I mean, that is one of the areas where Narumughi Foundation also has been working. Nadesh asked me to present the founding impact report, but after this wonderful presentation, I'm not going to present anything. But I would just want to highlight a couple of things that we are doing over the last 8 9 months, after we formally institutionalized this foundation. Um we have done a research I mean, a secondary research on how the custody laws have been evolved across the globe. India uses a custody law which is 135 years old, which was gifted by the Britishers to us. After they gifted, we sort of happily are stuck with it, while UK itself has revised its law three times for the changing circumstances. The current law does not recognize shared parenting as a possible way. The custody remains with only one parent, and in our setting, it is 99 percentage the mother. I mean, nevertheless, even if the father is having the custody, even the father tends to do the same alienating behavior. So there is no gender bias here, but it is only the targeted parent versus alienating parent. That's what we see. So what we have seen is, like ma'am rightly said, the judicial system also needs to get trained on most of what you have taught. Um, I mean, forget family courts. Even the high courts, in most scenarios, don't understand what kind of trauma a child goes through when a simple question like, whom do you want to be with is asked to the child. I mean, one of the cases in one of the high courts, uh, the judge asked the child to be it's a 9-year-old girl child to be lifted by the court staff to throw in front of him because he was obviously seated in a high sitting and asked in full open court, whom do you want to live with? And when the child obviously says it is with the alienating parent, the judge says, here the answer is, and then he writes that the child will stay with. Uh, if this is the scenario, forget tier two towns or even the district courts or the family courts, where it is even more worse, where it takes years together to decide a custody petition, to even give an interim arrangement to the children. That is one place, and um, one more place. What we see is that the schools are reluctant to support the targeted parent, where the child in a child's life, the teachers play a very big role. When the child is unable to understand and have an independent thinking, and when the um, uh, thinking is largely mirrored with the alienating parent, no matter what the targeted parent says, I can't be go in the 3 hours. I can't be saying that I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. That's not going to anyways
Yeah.
be quality time.
Yeah.
So if there is a blueprint or how a child should look at or the critical thinking, if there is a neutral third person who's actually telling the child, possibly a lot of things might get into the child's mind. But schools unfortunately are not that very equipped to handle this.
Yeah.
Mostly it is I've met about uh, 10 to 15 school principals. My daughter alone has been in 3 schools in the last 3 years, and in each of the schools, when I go and talk to the principal sadly tries to think that it is one of the uh, uh, you know the mother is the boss because she pays the fees, or she takes the call to continue in the school or not. So it is seen as a risk of an admission rather than anything else. Um, so a lot of work has to happen with respect to schools also. And the one last leg of the foundation's work currently is on also how to get the general public who's unaffected in the whole thing to even talk about this, raise that today, like how sati or dowry is frowned upon.
Mm.
Okay, sati is totally abolished, but dowry, whether it is abolished or not, it is at least publicly frowned upon. Giving or taking dowry, something like that. If PA is also frowned upon by the next neighbor, a lot of things would be very good. Uh, Today, when a targeted parent is going to pick up the child in the particular street when he walks in, there is a lot of eyes on him, as if he is a trouble creator who is actually coming in a peaceful neighborhood. So if it is reversing, if when the next door neighbor thinks, or even ask, is the father absent by choice or is he being forced out of the child's life? Automatically the whole narrative would be very different. So these are the 5 pillars where Narmagi Foundation is also working, and we have published a book for the fathers of how to cross the legal maze and try to get shared parenting.
Mm.
Yeah, for my own case. I had met 13 lawyers who each and every one of them told uh, it is almost impossible to get the child. After that, I had to, I mean, my 13th lawyer is the lawyer whom I engaged. Now it is like I've got the one of the best orders where I have every week full day with the child in my house, unsupervised, for the last 3 years. With all this lived experiences of all of the fathers whom we know, like about 50 to 100 people whom we personally interact, and with those stories, we've made uh, a book also. It's published out there. That's the foundation's work. But I would like to work very closely with you, both of you, ma'am. So you'll have to help us get through this.
Definitely, sir. I'd just like to add one thing. I'm really impressed by the efforts taken by the association as such, and I feel all big things happen only with small beginnings. So I think it's a great way forward, and basically, this is must be an eye opener for many more. And we can see the joy when you could say that how you had a quote sort of trying to tell you that you had much more time with your child. So that shows the bonding, that shows how secure your child is going to feel with you as well. So wishing that happens true or comes to be true in the case of many more parents as well. And I think it's a great work to be done, and more than happy to be supporting and a part of it. Thank
So
you
much.
so much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you, Natesh. Thanks for bringing in wonderful guests for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Arun's case, when listen, it is like he actually abridged the whole thing. But the way he fought, the way he brought in lawyers, the way he brought in top lawyers, it like a complete cinematic experience. And he always says Chennai High Court, Meta High Court, as an advantage that parents can go and fight for the custody and the GWO plea directly over there because they can bypass lower court. It is available only in Chennai. And he said this is a gift of Elizabeth, late Elizabeth over there. And he shows the order also. And this is what is there. And one more thing, uh, he fought, and very importantly, the child is a girl child. So he always says that if you fight for what you want, you will definitely get that. But he did a lot of homework. And so that is what. Tomorrow we're releasing this book in the like in the walkathon. I just want to share a PPT before going to the Q&A regarding the program which we're having tomorrow. This is happening in Hyderabad. Just to 1 minute and we'll post the session. Post visible. So we're having the session in Hyderabad. This is in Ideal Lake Kukatpalli. This is to make aware of the people about the anti-alienation. And by God's grace, we're being a quite successful city, Hyderabad. We went to Decathlon. Decathlon agreed. They're promoting that. We went to multiple societies. We stuck the flyers over there in the apartments. They're happy to send in the audience. We are having Nilofer hospitals, staff, doctors. We're having IIP ICANN as a president over there, and multiple general public. So everyone is coming to know what is alienation. And moment they know about this is a child abuse, they are showing keen interest to come forward and work for the cause. And on this day, I want to emphasize the importance of this lost soul, Mr. Atul Subhash, who confessed publicly on the open media, and he took away his own life. After alienation, after the death also, many didn't change. So ultimately, we want a law reformation, not emotional appeal to anyone. We want law reformation. That is what we want. And multiple current legal landscapes across that, we can one thing is important is there's a body called as AFCR, that is Ayushman Initiative for Child Rights. Uh, again, an alienated parent who fought for his own child, and he implemented the PAL. I mean, he got the PAL admitted, and he implemented the guidelines as a law through approaching the rule committee. Then from High Court of Karnataka, even the High Court of Karnataka approved it did suo moto, and he joined as a respondent. And now we are very keen to go and file appeal across multiple states. In Delhi, he's successful. Now he's trying with Chennai and in various states. So things are changing. So everyone wants to have the shared parenting as a law. So basically, we need a legal information in the Guardian and the Watts Act, which will enact the shared parenting law, sensitize the judiciary and school principal, as Mr. Arun said very rightly. We want, and the speaker also told very rightly that the lawyers also. So it's a multiple responsible person. It is not only about the alienating parent who is giving the power to the alienating parent. That is what is very important. And among most important things, we want to create awareness of the ill effects, as Mr. Arun told, as how sati and dowry has been frowned upon. People will even never think about sati, which is quite common then. And now, as he told very clearly, dowry, even though people accept it sometimes, but it has been frowned upon. People should come to know if a child is without the parent, they should ask where the parent, why it is alienated. So the alienating parent should feel guilty or feel ashamed of not bringing in the alienated parent into the life of the child. So we are choosing this vacation, and we're having a walkathon over there. And the circle inspector is law and order is keen to come up for the as a chief guest. As of now, we got around 300 registrations. We got around 50 volunteers. Uh, 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 this has been goal for a mail done by a body called as Children After Divorce, and this has been part of Ayush Kalpa initiative of Brahma Samaj. It's a spiritual body which looks for something called as Panchama Yagna, that is four yagnas, five yagnas. And we identify this anti-alienation as something called as social evil of this current era. So we are fighting against the social evil to bring about change in the society for the betterment of the children and for everyone. So here, Brahma Kripa Keval means all happen with the grace of God, and maybe, hopefully, and for sure, we'll be having a change in the law. So thank you, and we can go for the Q&A now directly. Stage open for the audience can unmute, or they can raise their hands, and we can. Yeah, Mr. Prashant, you can raise it. Please do that.
Dr. Prashant.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kasuri and Dr. Satya. It was great learning. So I would like to ask about more on the prevention side. So you mentioned about the parenting coach as well. So it is more important for both the parents to understand that the rights of the child are having a higher priority than, like, let's say, their right to say whether they want to be engaged in counseling or not, right? So that has to be there and should be like tracked in official records as well, because
Yes.
that is a useful thing. And otherwise, there is no way to mandate it, right?
Yeah.
The non-cooperating parent will simply say they don't want to be involved.
Mhm.
So the psychoeducation and some integrated approach should be happening. So as of now in India, I don't see a lot of family therapists in practice. They don't have much things. I mean, NIMAS has one family therapy unit, but yeah, that is just one. And in Western countries also, they have started with some multi-systemic therapy approaches. Maybe that is for the like elder kids, but I think that would be more beneficial in the cases, so that we can have an integrated approach, so that both the parents, the schools, extracurricular activities, and I mean the judiciary will also be able to get the right help from the supervision system. So that's what I wanted to check whether that will be useful or not. And if you can have that like a separate session, if we can plan for parenting coach, as mentioned by Arun sir, that will be also very helpful. Thanks.
Sure. I agree with what you said, Dr. Prashant. Like you said, the alienating parent may not cooperate or not be willing to be a part of any kind of parenting sessions. So one of the key things, like you said, it has to be enforced maybe by the court. There have to be strict consequences for not following through, whether it is attending a particular session or or not allowing the child for visitation rights. So I think where our systems fail is that we need to support both the parents, because like I said, alienation starts with a parent who is hurt, whether it is the alienating parent or a targeted parent. They are both hurt in the marital separation process. So it starts with a hurt parent, but then it goes on into a perpetual conflict that ultimately the child faces the brunt of. So but like you said, many parents will not be cooperative for counseling sessions or parenting sessions. In fact, that is a major challenge that I also acknowledge, because especially because if there is any mental health assessment or treatment or therapy that the parent is undergoing, sometimes parents may also be concerned that this may be used against me in the court of law. If for example, it is known that I am having depression or I am having anxiety or any other mental health problem, maybe my ex-spouse will use it against me in the court of law. So court also needs to be. I think the court and legal processes have a large role to play in terms of changing these scenarios. It is like we said, it's a team effort. The court, family therapists, mental health professionals, parents, schools, multiple systems have to come together to support the child. So it may not maybe start off as a voluntary process, but over a period of time, it is something that I'm sure the alienating parent also, if they receive the right direction, they will also understand that this is not something that's beneficial for the child. Ultimately, and at the end of the day, no parent wishes bad for their children. Sometimes I just feel that they just don't know how they are dealing with their own unprocessed trauma, and they don't know how this is all impacting their child at the end of the day.
I agree as well. So I think there needs to be some reformation, and that's what the system is fighting for as well, from the legal perspective, so that we'll be able to make a meaningful change to the life of these children. So basically, once we're able to get the legal system to be able to look into this perspective, I think that's the job half done. So I think we need to be consistent in our efforts to sort of be heard as a group, to put it across to them. So then I'm sure we'd be able to get that done. And it's only a question of time and how many and how constant our efforts are in this achieving this goal as well. Thank you so much for that. I can see Mr. Praveen. Would you?
Praveen can.
Yes.
Sorry, hi. I'm Em and hi Nitish, hi everyone. I mean, I am an alienating parent and sorry, I'm an alienated parent and since like 7 years. My son is around 8 now. And so I like to categorize the kind of alienation that used to happen. Now, there are different kind of age group where the child get alienated for the first initial 2 years of the child may be of under 2 years where they don't have any kind of memory with the alienated parent. Then there is another kind of category that we can categorize. They have some memory about the parent, the alienated parent, and then there is the adult child or the like 12 to 16 year of age of child who have some strong memories and a strong bond as well with the alienated parent uh, and the alienating parent both. But the situation is like they do not have that control to connect with that other parent. So we can categorize the people, or the parents in these cases. And the second thing I would say, when the relationship get toxic, one may become like a dominating or the, I mean, someone says is like a borderline kind of personality or a narcissistic personality that can create in that situation before the separation or after the separation. It can it can be created in any part of the dynamics. So these are the things that we have to figure it out. And also, we are discussing about the diagnosis or the assessment of the parents and even the child as well. So I think the first priority we should be given to the alienated parent. We should start with the alienated parent to themselves get diagnosed first, work on themselves. When you reach out to the parent, reach out to the alienating parent or the alienated child, you should have a better communication in that situation. And now whatever the time you will receive in that moment, you should enjoy most of the time, not indulge yourself into in an argument with the other parent. And we are also discussing about the lawyers. Yeah, I mean, I have an experience working with the judiciary in MP High Court during the e-courts project in 2011 and 10. 2010 and 11, I was working as a software programmer in that project. I have healthy experience dealing with the judiciary as well. But I would say judiciary are not that much literate about psychoeducation even, or a mental health kind of thing. And the worst thing is the lawyers, I would say. I, although myself have learned tried doing LLB but left it out because I am not being able to cope up with that environment of the kind of environment that lawyers particularly used to create, with all that negative kind of feeding the alienating parent or the alienated parent. Both parents are being dominated, alienated, provoked, or gaslighted by the lawyers. They although themselves have some various toxic environment, like their own parents or their siblings or their whoever the support system they may carry. So they although have that thing, but worst thing is when the lawyer get manipulate. The people get manipulated by their lawyers, or gaslighted by their lawyers. So these are the things that create a worse situation in the court environment when we deal with these situations. So yeah, I have communicated both kind of parents, like who are into like having the child custody and who are having who are the alienated parent. So I'm dealing with this situation like 7 years, counseling both kind of parents. So they are concerned who are in who are having the child custody, particularly the female, or the mother. They have safety issue, particularly, or the trust issue when they get separated, or also kind of trauma phase when whomsoever, like if the husband is being dumped by the wife, or the wife is dumped by the husband, in any situation, they have some trauma or a PTSD, in a PTSD mode. So in that mode, they become like anxiously reactive in that situation, or may not being able to communicate properly. So in that situation, I think the let's suppose the custodian parent think differently or like negatively about that alienated parent, because they already have some difficult relationship before the separation or during the separation, and after like in this toxic court environment. So the trauma phase that the alienating parent, particularly the alienating parent, used to face this PTSD kind of thing, or even the complex PTSD they used to face if they have something childhood trauma they have, or earlier trauma that before this relationship trauma, or that alienation trauma. So yeah, there are different things that we have to figure it out while working with the people, and we have to be, as an parent, we have to first ourselves have to educate, or the psychoeducate ourselves, do get therapies, do get counseling, and then communicate with the other parent to handle the situation. In a better way. Uh, that is what we can do as a aware parent or as a concerned parent. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Enes sir, you can unmute and you can open a video if you want. Please ask, sir. Mr. Kumar.
Hello. I hope I am audible.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Ma'am, first of all, thanks to the organizers. And ma'am, that was a great presentation. A lot of education it was there in that. And I'm also frightened about my child. The things, I think he requires definitely expert care advice from you people, because considering her future. Now, my suggestion for this thing is that, okay, we are all discussing, so far we're discussing about diverse, what is that, custody and all. What about the cases of 498A? In the 498A, what happens is, she says she's fighting for self-respect. And some places, they say they are fake cases also are there. Children are used as a weapon in that. But the problem with these cases is that these go on and go on. These 498A cases. At least in diverse case, what happens, that there is a result, and at the end of the day, you have a chance for custody.
Hmm.
So what about these children? The children of parents who are involved in the 498A, that also has to be focused a lot. That is my suggestion, madam.
Yeah. Yes. It is also a personal experience working with a lot of families that lot of legal cases are put by one parent on other. Um, like I said, it is um, the conflict. They have separated. The couple has separated. There has been hurt. There has been trauma in the separation, but somehow it has not had an appropriate channel to express it. So using the child as a tool for alienating or sometimes making false cases can also be one way in which the other spouse is expressing a lot of anger and grief at the loss of the marital relationship. So like Mr. Praveen also said, it is very, very important that both parents have their own counseling and own therapy and their own first able to understand and process their own emotional emotional issues before they are even able to support and look out for the well-being of the child.
Yeah,
So
ma'am. And the other thing
Yes.
is that, yeah, will let us close. Even we have to thank the Ajit's movie, that Vishwasam, I suppose. That also brought this issue. They really don't want to divorce each other, but the father is concerned about the daughter and her this thing. So I think movies also have a role to play. And also, ma'am, we are using very difficult words, what is that, alienation, and also this alienator, or maybe I think some simple, easy words
Yeah.
in the local languages, in English language also are need to be invented so
Yes.
that this message goes to the people. When I send the message, most people say, "What is this parental alienation?" Even it
Mm.
is difficult to pronounce. So this is another suggestion. Thank you.
Yes.
So thanks a lot. It was really an interactive session, and we had sort of many people sort of expressing their thoughts. And it was just not their thoughts, it was more than that, their emotions and their personal experiences and lived experience as the richest resource from which we learn. So I think it was a very, very mutually enriching session. And thanks to Dr. Natesh and Dr. Kasturi as well. So do we have any closing remarks from your side, Dr. Natesh?
Definitely, ma'am. See, we have been conducting this session from past the Children's Day. I would say today's session is very academically profound session. And as a first speaker, many were lauding in the group also, who boldly told about the issue with the judiciary, the alienating thing. That is a very, because this is actual thing. Many are focusing on a science part, but she actually talk about the time to segregate what is the problem, what has been done for the problem, and what's the long-term solution. So as Mr. Arun said that, we'll again come back to you if I mean, you're free. We want to arrange sessions in a different way. How we can address the sessions, how we can do that. Now it is kind of an introduction thing, because we have we had previously spoken about. Many experts. Uh, you are the third child psychiatrist talking on, because the first one was from Dr. Bhagyavedi. She herself told her experience with this alienation is quite less. Understood. Then a second show was given by Dr. Soumya. Very beautiful thing. But this was in physical, where we had a meeting in Bangalore. So people are very emotional. They ask question. Even though the time was over, she took no. I just, because she wants to take care of the emotion of the parents who are crying over there. And today's session was, this is what shows how an expert can present. People, they present different perspectives of alienation, but your presentation was very keenly focused on the issue with respect to the child. What are the inciting factors? How we can solve this? And as a chair, you did a very great job to balancing and how to counter things. Of course, two experts from Niman, ex-Nimans and St. John's and CMC with all the credentials. And so much thank you for coming and joining and giving a valuable time. We even exceeded the session. And uh, I can't say thanks to these words, ma'am, because today being a party election day is quite special. And this session this is in collaboration with a PAHG, that is Parallel Election Support Group. As Dr. Kasuri was telling, that we need more research. So last week, Dr. Not last week, this week only, he spoke. Dr. Benedict, sorry, William Burns, he spoke. Then we told we want discount for a conference. He actually mailed now. So people have to go there. We are planning to go there also to develop some academic meetings to see how we can have a combined research, because CM's Vellore
Across
and Demand,
centers.
they are all known for research, and we want to connect people with you. And other departments will follow a lead, because
Sure.
it's an institution once you started, and they follow the lead. So always there should be someone first. And
Sure.
we'll discuss through mails, WhatsApp, ma'am. So this
Sure,
discussion is
sir.
an initial discussion, only end of meeting, but we have started a discussion and the conversations. And we have formed a special interest team also on this. I will happy to add to a group also. So we have planned to write white papers to the judiciary. Last week we had session with a law college. So now we have planned to invite more law colleges to educate the children, the students. So when they are becoming lawyers, as Dr. Kasiri said, they
Yeah.
won't think about alienation. They won't be the cause of one of the alienations issues.
Yeah.
So we want to cut the root also.
And I think it would be actually a really nice thought to bring it like more of a panel discussion,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Having sort of from multiple specialities, from a child psychiatrist, from sort of lived experiences of parents, and from the legal, and from the schools. So from multiple perspectives, if you could have something like a panel discussion, that would really throw light and be a very nice platform or forum for parents to express their needs and sort of look into the different perspectives.
Yeah.
So,
We are having a
and
proposal of the Parental Alienation Conference. This is in the law school. So because they'll be able to bring in more audience, because the
definitely.
actual audience will be the lawyers who wants to know about things. Actually, because the law gives a teeth for the aliening parent to use upon. That is the only thing. Once they are able to tell this is not possible, then they themselves will be calming down. It is an unresolved aggression which is being expressed to the children. That is one thing. And as you said, of course, we can have a virtual panel discussion, which can evolve. And recently, a Michigan-based attorney, he want to volunteer to come and talk. So we are planning a session in the month of May. We want to involve law institutions, because May is vacation for few. So this is what's happening, ma'am. This is updating you. So once again, thank you so much for joining at the
Thank you so
late night.
much.
So
Thank
if
you
you have
so
more
much, Dr.
questions,
Nitish.
we'll having the multiple sessions discussion, ma'am.
Thank you and have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Bye.